Win a Pageant, episode 60. I created this step-by-step process after training thousands of women across the U.S. to win. Now you can have access to these winning strategies when you join me every Wednesday. Let's win a pageant. Hey girl, welcome to Win a Pageant podcast. I'm your coach, Alycia Darby, and today is the last day of our series about overcoming obstacles to get into the top 5 by becoming a woman who is functioning in the top 10% of life. Now, we've uncovered roadblocks and fears in episodes 57, 58, and 59, and today we are talking about the pageant rut. Now, if you have been competing for more than just a few years without winning, maybe you've even been placing lower than you had the previous year, then you know exactly what I mean by a pageant rut. It's the sensation of lacking confidence and general chutzpah for pageantry and for life in many cases. So first, I want to just start by defining what a rut really is. Literally, a rut is like a hole or a pit, and it's really hard to get out of. In real life, this can show up in several different ways. I'm going to speak specifically to 3 of them because I want to see where you might fit in. So just kind of think about these things in terms of your own life and where is this showing up for you. So the first is that it could be what I call analysis paralysis. So this is where you just keep rehashing the past over and over and over. You obsess over the judge's notes. Like you try to make meaning of everything. You know, you go crazy with so many options. There's so many things that I could possibly do that you end up just doing none of them. And so you sit there without movement. You're paralyzed by analysis until the last possible second when you actually have to pick something. You know, it's like the pageant's in a week, you got to pick a dress, you know, and you're never really fully happy with your choice. A really great analogy for this is if you've ever stood still in the sand at where the waves come in, the tide comes in on a beach, and you stand there in the sand with the waves crashing over your ankles. Each time the waves come in, the ground erodes more and more from underneath your feet. And by just standing there, you're actually making it worse. And the stronger the wave, the deeper you sink until finally you're either like sunk so low you can't pick your feet up out of there, or you're fully just knocked off of your balance and you have to step off. Another way that this shows up in our lives is when we end up doing the same thing over and over and over, even when it's not getting us into any new place. This is when you end up changing your gown every year. Like, so you're competing in the same pageant and you just change your gown and you're practicing your walk over and over and over and over and over until your feet bleed, you know, but it's not actually improving your performance. And yet for some reason you keep doing those things over and over and over. That is a pageant rut. It's like when you get your car stuck in the mud, the harder that you push on the gas. So let's imagine you've got a Jeep Wrangler, and it's stuck in the mud. The worst thing that you can possibly do is to actually slam the gas because the tires will spin so quickly that it will just sink deeper and deeper and deeper. Instead of doing that, you've got to get a whole new strategy because what you're doing is just not working. The third way that this can show up for us is if you are repeating bad habits, even when you know that you need to make a change. So this is for the type of woman who is always half in, half out. Maybe you can relate to that. Maybe you're the type that you just put off decisions. You just put off decisions, you put off decisions, you put off decisions. Even though you want to change these things, they're very difficult to change. This is why we call it a pageant rut. Instead of doing what you know you should do, you're always cutting corners, or you're always just dodging bullets, or you're always losing when you really just want to win. You may have heard of the frog in hot water phenomenon. Essentially, this is the idea that if you put a frog, okay, imagine a live frog, and you drop him into boiling hot water, the frog will, as soon as it hits the bottom of the pan, it's going to immediately jump out in order to save itself, okay? Because it immediately recognizes the danger of the situation, so it's able to react fast enough to get out. But if you put a frog in a pot of room temperature water, and then you slowly bring that pot to boil, the frog will literally stay in the hot water until it dies. Ah, what a way to go, right? This is an illustration of how some of us actually manage our lives, or at least areas of our lives, right? If you were, for example, immediately dropped into a situation that is clearly bad, so if you get into a hideous relationship and it's just immediately red flags all over the place, or you get into an environment, or imagine like a new job and you just know for sure this is not right. Maybe even a change in the weather, right? If you envision just a dramatic change in weather, you notice it immediately. And as a smart woman, you get out immediately. You're not going to stay in a crappy relationship if as soon as you get into it, the guy's a jerk, right? You're like, ew, gross, and you get out of there immediately. However, when we slowly dig ourselves into a rut, it slowly gets worse and worse and worse. We aren't regularly taking inventory, then we end up stuck there until we're dead, whether it's physically, mentally, or emotionally in most cases. The best example of this is a relationship. I'm sure that we've all been in relationships that we just wish we never were in before. Hopefully you are in the place where you were able to escape before you were emotionally, mentally, or physically damaged. But in many cases, that's how things show up in our lives. But if you're placed in an environment, if you were to rent a new home or apartment and it was just falling apart left and right, you'd be like, ew, gross, get me out of here. Boom, you'd be out of there, right? Same with a new job, same with changing weather, all these situations. However, if it slowly erodes over time, it becomes a rut and we just kind of get used to it, you know? So today, I want to give you a step-by-step process to get the heck out of that rut, no matter how you got into it. If it was immediate or if it was a slow, painful process, or if it's just something that you just keep doing to yourself over and over and over and over and you cannot figure out how to get out. This is your 4-step process to get out of your pageant rut. There's really only one way out of a rut, and that is to leap out onto a clear path with a solid foundation. The first step to getting that clear path with a solid foundation is to just be aware. Awareness is being able to objectively understand your emotions, your thoughts, and your actions. Now, to do this for yourself, you've got to just take regular inventory, okay? So keep a journal or a day log, something like that. A former roommate of mine was in a crappy relationship, and some of the days were good, and then other days were horrific, you know, and when it was good, it was good. When it was bad, it was horrid. So I told her, listen, get a calendar. For the next 30 days, put a star on the days that are great, or even just good, right? And then put a frown on the days that were bad. At the end of the month, see if the good outweigh the bad. So she did it. The good did not outweigh the bad. And so she cut it off because she was finally able to see objectively what was going on. And she was able to then better understand her emotions and her actions. So made it easy, end of story. Now, it's very difficult to do these things for yourself in pageantry because it's hard to see yourself objectively in a competition. So for my returning clients, I offer what I call a DVD review. I watch their full pageant, and I do it twice. First, I watch just them, and then I fast forward or skip through all of the other girls, and I record individual feedback for just her. Then I watch the full pageant in context with all of the other women, and then I give additional feedback based on the comparison. Now, it's so hard to know what is going on with your walk and your vocal inflection and how you're showing up to others without someone who doesn't live in your body, think your thoughts, and make your actions. You really do need a third-party perspective. But you've got to be careful where this advice is coming from. A few weeks ago, I did a strategy call with a woman who'd always worked with her mom and her aunt, coaching her. And in about 10 minutes, in our strategy call, I was able to point out something that she had never been aware of before because she'd never had a third party share a true understanding of what she was actually representing. So this process has to be done with a credible source. And I'm not saying that mom and auntie are not credible sources, but they just know you so well that it's hard for even them to separate thoughts and actions and emotions objectively. So find somebody that is a credible source, okay, someone that knows what they're doing, and somebody that you trust, someone that you value their opinion and you agree with their morals and their values. Everybody on the face of the planet is going to want to give you an opinion. So always consider the source. My mantra is, if it applies, modify. If not, let it fly. The second step to getting unstuck from a pageant rut is to this one will not be a shocker, get a new strategy. If it were easy to get unstuck, or if you knew how, then you would have done it by now. It is not easy, and you do not know how, clearly, or else you would have done it, okay? I say that with love. You actually have everything that you need to get unstuck. I know that you already have everything that you need, but there's some click, something, some series, some steps that you need to take, a new strategy that's going to take you from where you are to where you are going. You actually have to do things differently than you're already doing in order to make a change. Now, you've heard the saying before that the definition of insanity is repeating the same action over and over and over and expecting different results. As a pageant woman, if you change your evening gown every year and you practice walking over and over and over and you still are not winning or scoring better or feeling more confident, then that's not working for you. All right? You've got to get a new strategy. You need to actually figure out what is it that you can do. Where can you spend your time? Where can you spend your efforts and your finances on something that will actually move the needle in your performance? Changing your outfit or putting the other hand on your hip won't, I promise. It will not move the needle in your performance. Women waste hours and hours and hours of precious pageant prep time on these silly little things when they ought to just get a strategy and start working smarter to getting media appearances, to stacking their success, to doing the things that we know are actually going to move the needle. Speaking of stacking your success, this is step number 3, and I'm just going to dive right into this bad boy. The first goal of every great superstar is to catch momentum. Every great knows that as soon as you catch momentum, everything else becomes easier. Let me give you an example. Lady Gaga, who we all know very well now, she used to be a songwriter for like years and years and years before she even recorded and performed her own songs. So when she finally hit the scene, she took immediate action to ensure momentum. She created her brand. She had these crazy, cool, wild dress, big personality, right? And immediately she was invited for interviews. Her social media boomed, She performed all over the nation for millions of people on TV, in concert, all over the place. She stacked her opportunities for success, which ended up setting the stage for a long career because of that early momentum. Now, if you've seen documentaries on her success or followed her career, she very transparently describes how she studied celebrity, the process of celebrity, in order to understand how to quickly make a name for yourself. And then she implemented that strategy and it actually worked, right? That was 10 years ago or so. And we still know who she is today. She's got a booming career because of taking fast action on a strategy that led to momentum. Once you have your strategy, you have got to take immediate and fast action, and soon the snowball will appear. And the larger and larger it gets, the easier it will be to just roll on its own. My client Lori is an amazing example of momentum. When she first created her legacy project, a children's book, I insisted that it was excellent. I didn't let anything go through the cracks. Like, it had to be phenomenal. It had to be something that was just going to be wowzer. It couldn't be like what everyone else is doing. We were back and forth a million different times, and she had to seriously trust God in the outcome of this process because she had many moving parts. She had an illustrator and she had a publisher and she had all these things coming together. She did all of the work and it has multiplied like you would not believe. She left me this super fun voice message over email and I wanted to share a piece of it with you. It is amazing what can happen when you follow your God-sized dream and you just put in the work and take on the momentum. Listen to her message to me here.
Hey, Alycia, this is Lori. Hey, I just wanted to touch base with you and just give you an update on the book. I am so stinking excited. There's so much happening so quickly. So in the first 36 hours of my launch, I sold 25 hard copies. I've received videos from parents with their children reading my book. I've been in contact with marketing companies all over the nation. It's currently up in 3 different formats on Amazon. I have an event and a book signing scheduled at 2 Barnes & Noble locations, one in Oregon and one in Idaho. And I've received about a dozen different speaking engagement invitations worldwide. So it's been really, really interesting in the last not even that long. I mean, the book's been for sale for about 36 hours. And of course, I started soft launching it a couple weeks ago, but really hasn't been that much, and I haven't gotten too aggressive with my marketing campaign yet. It's coming up. But I just wanted to give you the update because I thought you'd be excited. And of course, you are a huge, huge part of my journey, girl. Love you. Talk to you later. Bye.
Isn't that awesome? I am so happy for Lori. I absolutely love that chick. So the final step I want to share with you in the process of getting unstuck from your pageant rut is to start immediately. The more time that you have, the more progress you will make. One of my greatest pet peeves as a coach is when pageant women wait until closer to their pageant to start getting coaching. Listen, I am not a magician. Okay, I consider myself to be very good at my job, and I've been very blessed with gifts to help other women succeed. But if you wait until 2 weeks before your pageant to get coaching, then I am only bound by giving you a very weak strategy that takes 2 weeks to implement, okay? The same goes for women that get all excited about the strategies that we talk about on their call, and then they wait like 3 months to implement anything, okay? It is going to take you longer than you expect to do anything massive, okay? Most of my highly successful clients have started their coaching programs at least 9 months before their pageant. Ray Tong, my girl in South Africa, she started 15 months before her pageant. That is over a year. Now, she knows that the Miss South Africa pageant is highly competitive, and she's wanting time to rise to that level of competition and really build her brand so that she's on solid foundation. Smart girl. Alycia actually started 11 months before her pageant, and she is going strong. I also do mock interviews every Friday over Skype, and Ashley got on last month. Her pageant was 6 months out, and I was able to give her some feedback, homework, brand new ideas, strategies to implement, things to practice, because she has all kinds of time to actually grow. So it's just amazing to see what you're able to accomplish when you have more time. I just got an email last week from one of my clients' mothers asking, my daughter is 2 months away from her pageant. Is it too early to do a mock interview? Now, I know that she was really just wanting to ask, so I would say never, it's never too early, so that she could forward that to her daughter and get her on the stick, you know? Listen, I don't want to stress you out. I'm not going to give you 6 months worth of stuff if your pageant's a month away. And if I do work with women just a few weeks before their pageant, I tell them that. I say, listen, if we had more time, we would be able to do this, this, and this. But because of the time we have, it's going to work against you to stress you all out in advance. So if you do your mock interview a week before your pageant, I can only give you so much. I recommend doing it far, far, far further out than that. I promise you will be able to develop new skills and dramatically shift habits when you've got the time to do it. Whew. Okay, thank you for letting me just get that out of there. I know that it's just so important, and it breaks my heart to think that women want to wait until the last minute, and I just need you to know that please just don't do that, okay? Not starting immediately is truly one of the biggest things that women do not realize is killing their strategy, okay? So girl, stop spinning your wheels. Please do not let the warm water around you turn into a boil. If you are in a rut in pageantry or in life, you have got to leap out of that mess before you shrivel up and die, okay? Become aware, get a third-party perspective, get a strategy that aligns with your goals, take fast action to stack your success, and start immediately. Because that, ladies, is how you win a pageant. Now, if you have not yet done your strategy call, now is your opportunity. I'm going to open up just a few more slots. So even if your pageant is a year away, okay, start right now. To sign up for your strategy call, go to winapageant.com/strategy call. To sign up for a mock interview, winapageant.com/mock interview. Thank you so much, girl. I cannot wait to connect with you and help you toward your pageant success. Hey there, I'm Alycia Darby, and I just want to say thank you so much for watching that last video. If you totally loved it and got something from it, would you just click subscribe right here to subscribe to our YouTube channel? Hey, I am here for you, and I've got so many more trainings and videos for you. In fact, this one would be a really great one to watch next. Or if that topic doesn't interest you, then try this one. It's my most recent video training. So I think both of these would be really great for you. Thank you again so much for subscribing. I am honored to be your coach. I'll see you again soon.